Inside today's video, I'm going to share 5 keys to get shredded in 2025. The same 5 keys I personally use to stay lean for over a decade, the same 5 keys our clients use, and the same 5 keys you can use to get those abs popping for the new year without dieting, cutting carbs, cheap food, booze, or having a funeral for your social life. Hey everybody, Coach Sean, the Rip Grandpa. What are the 5 keys to get shredded for 2025? C for calorie deficit, W for water, E for exercise, S for sleep, and P for protein. Now, I would argue that it's pretty simple, not necessarily easy, to get adequate water. It's pretty simple to get adequate sleep. And if you can lean into a protein shake or 2 every day, it's pretty simple to hit your protein mark. Now, notice I did say simple, not necessarily easy, because where people screw this up is the calorie deficit and the exercise. They don't know how to get these two working together consistently. And the first thing that people will do is they'll cut out carbs and they'll start doing more cardio. And inside this video, I'm going to share why both of these things are a disaster for the hormones and the metabolism of men and women over 40, 50, and 60, and the hormone reset framework you should use instead. So the very first lever we must pull if we want to cut body fat is based off the law of thermodynamics, that you must burn off more calories than you consume at least 5 or 6 days per week and keep your body in a calorie deficit. Now, notice I said 5 or 6 days per week because I'm going to share here in a minute, while going into a surplus 1 or 2 days per week, or at least at maintenance, not only will help you be able to adhere to the diet and have a social life, it's going to help you keep your hormones optimized and rebalanced. Now, the sweet spot that I've used for years with my clients and on my own body is 10 times my goal body weight as the number of calories I want to consume on a daily basis. Now, I get a lot of shit from this, because people will say that that's way too low of a number. But if we look at research studies, the average dieter underestimates how many calories they consume on a daily basis by about 35%. So even if you're using an app or tracking your calories, you're still going to underestimate how much you consume on a daily basis by at least 30%. So I know if I go 10 times my body weight, which is 1,900 calories a day, that I'm going to be somewhere around 2,300 to 2,500 calories, because we simply underestimate how many calories we consume. So the very first thing that you should do is just figure out that number and then track it for a week or two. And then, of course, we're going to move on, and I'm going to teach you the 3-step hormone reset solution framework that you can use to create a calorie deficit without dieting. But first things first, get the number in your head right now, 10 times your goal body weight. Start tracking that for about a week or so, and this is how you're going to be on your way to really identifying your own bullshit in your fitness plan. So what exactly do I mean by identifying your own bullshit in your plan? And I want to use a high-end VIP client of mine. We'll call him Mr. Mike as an example. He was about 2 or 3 weeks into our plan. And of course, he wasn't losing any body fat. So we had him do what we have all clients do. We had him start journaling and tracking his food intake. And when he came to us, what we realized is that he was in a surplus on a daily basis because he was consuming way too many friendly fats. And this is where people goof up their macro tracking. So most people don't understand there's a huge difference between protein and carb calories versus fat calories, because protein and carb calories are only 4 calories per gram, where fats are 9 calories per gram. So it's very easy to overconsume this. And when we looked at Mike's plan, he was a freak about friendly fats. He was a former keto dieter, so he was stuck on this fat train. Now, although these fats are very friendly, he was doing 4 to 5 tablespoons of olive oil a day, 2 avocados, and in between all meals, he was snacking on nuts and seeds. All of these foods yield 9 calories per gram. So he was easily getting probably a 400 to a 500 calorie surplus from those friendly fats. It doesn't matter how healthy the foods are. If you're bringing in way more calories than you're burning off, it's a math equation. You aren't going to lose weight, and you're potentially going to gain it. So we got him down to a half avocado a day, 1 or 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and a cupped hand or 2 of nuts and seeds. Cut that in half, and the scale started moving down instantly for Mike. Now, how can you keep your body in a deficit without starving to death? That's what I want to cover next by covering my 3-step hormone reset framework. And the first step is meal timing. And I would argue if you're over 40, 50, or 60, timing your meals is going to be a huge lever to pull to prevent you from being one of the 94% of people that regain all or more of their weight back. Now, with that being said, I do want to preface this by saying that if you took me and my twin, and at the end of each day, we had quests lined up, that we were getting adequate protein, we were burning off the same amount of calories, and we were consuming the same amount of calories, but my twin simply woke up every day and ate 6 to 7 small meals from the time they woke up to they went to bed. But I used the standard 16-hour fasting and 8-hour feeding window and ate 3 larger meals. We'd get the same exact results. At the end of the day, we'd get the same exact results. However, I would argue, since I've been using intermittent fasting since 2010, and I've done this both ways, I've been the 6 small meal a day guy, that it's much easier to adhere and sustain to a lifestyle of leanness when you only have to eat 3 larger meals per day. Not only that, I'm saving time because I don't have to worry about preparing and cooking and eating 6 or 7 times a day. I have more energy during the fasted window, and I have less hunger and cravings because when you time your first meal and your last meal of the day close to the same window, whether or not you're fasting or not, it could be 10, 12, 14, 16, 18-hour fast, either way, just timing that first and that last meal close to the same window, you're gonna get control of ghrelin pulses, okay? Now, ghrelin is your hunger hormone, and it's the death of every diet is hunger and cravings. And so understanding this, just picking your sweet spot every single day, I personally eat my last meal between 8:30 and 10 p.m., which is usually protein pudding or a protein shake or some type of protein like cottage cheese or Greek yogurt. And then I eat my first meal around 12 to 2 p.m. Somewhere within that window is usually around 1:30 p.m. And guess what? I don't even get hungry until then because I've trained my ghrelin to pulse later in the day through intermittent fasting. I'm not saying you have to use intermittent fasting to get great results, but timing your first and your last meal of the day can be a game changer because you do get control of ghrelin pulses and you get control of your hunger and cravings. You get more done, you have more energy, and it makes sustainability and adherence much easier. And the longer that you would actually extend the fast, so beyond that 12-hour mark, you're going to release more growth hormone during that fasted window as well. Now, these are only acute releases of growth hormone, but if we're doing this 6 or 7 days per week, I would think over time, pulsing that growth hormone every single day like this, there's got to be some health and longevity benefits, can definitely help you. So meal timing to get control of ghrelin and growth hormone. Next up is food pairing or combining to get control of insulin. So the simple rule that I personally use and we use with our clients to keep our body in more of a fat-burning environment when it comes to combining and pairing your foods is that you eat protein in every single meal. We'll talk about the importance of this in a second. When fats are up, carbs are down, and when carbs are up, fats are down. So I always think, if fats are high in this meal, I want to keep my starches and my sugars from fruits lower. And if carbs are up in this meal, if I'm having starches or fruit, I want to keep my fats lower. This is going to do a couple things. Number one, it's going to ensure that fat is not present in the bloodstream at the same time large amounts of insulin are present. You see, when you eat a higher carb meal, and of course, red meat can spike insulin as well, but carbs spike insulin higher and longer than other foods. And when insulin is present, because it's a storage hormone, if you have a lot of fat in that meal, your potential fat storage does increase. And so by keeping your fats lower in these higher carb meals, when insulin is more elevated, you're more likely to keep your body in a fat burning environment, and vice versa. When fats are really high in a meal with protein and cruciferous veggies, you can eat cruciferous veggies anytime. Nobody ever got fat from eating too many cruciferous veggies. Is when fats are higher with protein in a meal, you're just going to keep those starches and those sugars from fruits a little bit lower. So number one, it's going to keep your body in more of a fat burning environment. And number two, it's just going to decrease your overall calorie intake. An example of this is if I'm at a restaurant and I'm ordering a meal and I want to have a steak, I am simply going to select the filet because I want to have a baked potato or rice instead of the ribeye. Now, by choosing that filet, not only do I have about 600 or 700 calories less because the ribeye is going to be about 12 to 1300 calories, a filet is going to be about 400 to 500. So it's a math equation here. I just reduced my calories in that meal by about 500 or 600 calories, and my fat from that piece of filet is about a third of what's in a ribeye. And so now I can enjoy my potato or my rice with that meal. And now I'm keeping my body in more of a fat burning environment. And at the same time, I've tricked my body eating to 500 to 700 less calories. So the next one up is strategic high carb cheating. And of course, this is the most fun one. So when we keep our body in a calorie deficit during the week by timing our meals and pairing our foods properly and using that 10 times our goal body weight mark and hitting adequate protein, right? We'll hit on this in a second. When you do this, because you're consistently in a deficit Monday through Friday and maybe even into Saturday, depending on the plan that you're following, you've down-regulated your BMR. Your basal metabolic rate slows down because you're in a deficit and your body's fighting back. This is called metabolic or dietary adaptation. What this does is it drives down two of your body's primary fat-burning hormones, your leptin and your thyroid hormones. And most people don't understand that thyroid hormones themselves are a glycoprotein. Glyco means glucose. So it's nearly impossible for your body to convert T4 to T3 in the liver, the active form of the thyroid hormones your body's cells can receive and use, and every cell in your body has a receptor for thyroid hormones, is greatly diminished because you're in a calorie deficit. So by having a high carb cheat meal or a cheat day without going off the rails and being silly, is going to drive back up that thyroid production. And thyroid hormones do communicate with leptin. Now, both of these hormones help regulate your body weight. They help control your basal metabolic rate, and they also help control your body temperature. And of course, calories are a measure of heat, and your body temperature is a huge factor in helping you consistently keep the scale moving down. So now hopefully you can see how my 3-step hormone reset solution framework can keep your body in a calorie deficit to cut body fat without feeling like you're on a diet. You literally do not have to eliminate any food groups. You can still have carbs. And in fact, when you do it the way that we teach you, we use a carb down day, we use a carb deplete day during the week, and then we use carb up days on the weekends to get control of all the hormones I talked about today. Ghrelin pulses with meal timing, acute releases in growth hormone, getting control of insulin by pairing your foods properly to keep our body in more of a fat-burning environment, and then strategic cheating to get control of thyroid and leptin hormones, because at the end of the day, this is all about what? It's all about adherence and sustainability. It's not a diet, it's an actual lifestyle. So if you like this video and you got something out of it, click the link in description or in the pinned comment, head on over and join our free 14-day Hormone Reset Challenge school community, where we're gonna give you instant access to our Rapid Fat Loss Starter Kit, 100% free. Now, a lot of people will say, okay, what's the catch here? Why are you giving this away for free? And I can tell you, after 2+ decades of being a fitness pro, spending the last 15 years, I sold over 1 million ebooks, I've identified the number one reason people fail. First of all, it's because the weight loss industry in general is broken, and 94% of all dieters regain all or more of the weight that they lose because they don't understand how to build a lifestyle of leanness. See, it's all about sustainability and adherence. And trying to use social media doesn't work as well. Research shows it leads to the comparison trap, which leads to more unhappiness and more depression. And school has overcome this problem. And when you head on over and you get free instant access to our Rapid Fat Loss Starter Kit today, you're gonna be part of a like-minded community, a group of people your age who share your struggles and your same goals, and will help you build lifestyle habits so that you can use these to stay lean until you're 90 or 100 years old if you want. So thanks for watching this, and God bless.